Hey guys, I'm Shannon Jackson. I'm 21 from the UK and I'm a student based in Nottingham. And I'm here to chat to you about the general election. Um, I'm trying right now, I guess, to start a conversation between a major demographic divide that has kind of permeated the election between older and younger voters. And it's been emphasised in the polls, it's been emphasised in who supports who in policy support and stuff like that. And I think while there is clearly, a mismatch between kind of the focuses of older and young people, I actually think that there is far more that unites us, and there is, a dialogue that needs to happen, which focuses on what unites us and what we have in common, than what is dividing us in this kind of major gap that we'll never overcome. So I'm here to kind of start that, I guess. Because I think this election really determines the future of our country more than many others, and I think it's so important that we come together now more than ever. So, as my mum likes to point out much of the time when we chat about stuff, you are my elder, you are my parent, you are my grandparents, you are my teachers, you are my next door neighbours, you are the people and the person that I come to for advice in life generally. Because you're older, you've lived on this planet more, you have far more experience in the world, and I trust your opinion. Yet in politics, I think young people get chastised for their lack of life on the world, and we get called naive and idealistic for our views. But I just kind of want to let you know what I think and what I feel, and then I'll kind of explain why I think this is important to you and why I think we need to pay attention to it, not just in my own self-interest. So the reason I got into the degree that I'm doing, which is politics and international relations, is because I believed in the UK. I wanted to go into international politics because I believed that whilst, there are issues in the UK, I thought we were pretty much sorted, and I wanted to give that kind of advantage to the world and to see what I could do to help it. Now, in 2017, 3 years after I started my degree, I see these kind of great legacies of everything I believed in our country, kind of our history of welfare, of security for all over kind of the few, and our stance on the side of humanity throughout international conflict to really help those in need rather than to just kind of do the easy thing, as well as kind of our reputation of being one of the strongest economies in the world, but also one of the fairest. And I see all these legacies, and they're literally collapsing in front of my eyes. And now I've grown up to accept that this isn't the UK that I believed in, and I won't live this idealised life of security. I will grow up without knowing whether I'm going to get a good job, whether, I can't guarantee that I won't have to pay for healthcare. I can't guarantee that I'm going to get a house, at least in the next decade or more even. And I have had 17 years in education, with massive amounts of stress, and kind of pressure to do well, and I am tired. And you rack up massive amounts of debt when I finish university. Just from university, I'm going to have racked up about £40,000 worth of debt. Not to mention the kind of, like I said, the mental health side of it, with so much pressure on doing well. And we put ourselves under so much pressure because, there is that no security. It's very much cutthroat. And we educate ourselves to levels that no one else or no other generation has had to before, simply because we don't want to get left behind. It's not even about advancing ourselves, it's that we don't want to be at the bottom, because we see there is nothing there for people at the bottom anymore. There is no security. And, all I dream of right now is running away from the UK. Before this general election, I wanted to run away from the UK. I just wanted to emigrate to somewhere that offered me more hope and more promise, and that seemed a nicer country. And my concern now is that, will I ever even be able to afford to do that? I don't know. But I'm ready to leave behind my citizenship in the UK. Because I just don't believe in our country anymore. I don't believe in its direction. I don't believe how it treats people. And if this general election follows through, that'll be reinforced. So that's where I'm coming from as a young person growing up in the UK right now, who I think really believed in politics and, had so much to give. And all I want is to help people. And I've become a very, very pessimistic person just because of the structure of our country and the way it's going and general events. So that's where I'm coming from. And I think a lot of young people share that and just aren't willing to voice it because we're afraid we'll get shot down. And so now why I think this is important to the rest of the country is because I think there's one great thing that unites us all, and that is the children of our country. And I'm not talking about me, because I'm now an adult, unfortunately, at 21. But I'm talking about your children. The ones, I don't know how old they are, but they're younger than 21. And they will grow up like me, but probably worse. With even more debt from university as tuition fees rise, and as maintenance grants for working class families such as mine get taken away. They will grow up with the greatest chance of living in poverty that the UK has ever kind of seen among young people and especially children. 5 million kids by 2020 will grow up in poverty. And that could be one of yours, no matter how hard you try to provide for them. They will grow up with an even greater chance of having to pay for healthcare and seeing the NHS destroyed and dismantled right in front of them. They might use food banks as school meals get taken away. And they will struggle more than I have. But this time it will hit home for you because it'll be right in front of your eyes. It'll be your own kid. You will have provided for them as hard as you can. You will have tried to give them as much as you can, as my mum has me. And you will see that even as much as you try, it isn't enough. Because the security and the funding and the investment and the forward thinking just isn't there in the UK. And we'll grow up with even more of a brain drain. Everyone will want to leave because there's just nothing here for us. Our economy will suffer. Our enterprise will suffer. Our general politics and kind of social capital, our social cohesion will suffer. Because it'll become a very sad and broken country more than it is now. And I think then it's where my concerns will become not so distant from yours. Because you will see your child going through exactly what I am right now and becoming more pessimistic and more depressed and not dreaming big but just trying to get through. And that isn't a way to live. But by then it'll be too late in the fact that a generation will already be lost and the next generation will by no means be prepared for the future or to face the challenges that come or to even lead the world in the challenges that we face in the next 50 years. So I guess all I'm here to do now is to say that what we're shouting about right now isn't something that you can't connect to. It's a warning sign, I think. And I will do what I can for my own future, and I want sincerely to help the UK. But it's up to you as well. And I want to work with you, I want to unite with you, because I want to see a future, and I want your kids to see a future in the UK that I currently don't right now. And I think we have power over it on June the 8th. So I think we need a major change in our country, you know, on kind of economics, but in politics, in social welfare, in everything, in the entire direction of our country. And we can do it together. We don't have to be divided. You can understand me, I can understand you. So please make your own videos about, you know, what this election means to you, where you're coming from. And let's bridge this gap between old and young people, because it shouldn't exist. We want the same thing, and it's the country of our children that unite us. So thank you so much for listening. See you on June the 8th.